Thanks for joining me. It's episode 3 and I'm wet sanding the top. I've got Murphy's oil soap and water, 600 grit wet sandpaper. This is the StewMac stuff. And I'm getting out the orange peel. Because I did 9 coats of nitro lacquer on this top. It's bumpy from the spray, and wet sanding it gets out all of the bumps and the orange peel. It leaves a nice smooth surface for my final coat, which is going to be a satin lacquer, also StewMac brand. And I think I have what's called the traditional aged satin, so it might actually leave a little more of an amber finish on this, which would look really aged and nice, I think. So, because it's not a high gloss top coat, the final coat, I don't have to get out 100% of this orange peel. As a matter of fact, I think what I just did in this area is probably good enough already. And I think sometimes it's a good idea to go across the grain, diagonal to the grain in both diagonal directions, and then with the grain. Matter of fact, if you've watched enough of my wet sanding methods on my previous videos, I almost always do that. I found that it leaves a more level surface. But anyways, I'm not going to bore you with any more of this stuff. I'm going to wet sand this guitar and take it down for that satin coat. And then after a few days we can finish putting the bridge back on and the frets. We'll be almost ready to string her up again. Just kind of wanted to show off this new holding device that Doug Proper worked on with Jeff Howard over at Total Vice. And it's this expansion package. And what I did is I took some 5/16 threaded rod and cut it to length, and got some wing nuts and washers and other nuts, all 5/16. It's at 18 threads per inch, and I used some surgical tubing to kind of put it in small little lengths. You know, I didn't want to do surgical tubing down the whole length because it's too tight. You kind of have to roll it on. But these drinking straws, these are actually the type of straw that you would maybe drink a shake or a thick beverage like a smoothie. That's what I use them for, smoothies. Actually, I have some stainless steel ones that I'm using these days, but I had these leftover disposable straws. They're pretty large size, and that'll keep the threaded rod from damaging the side of the guitar. So I'm going around the guitar. I got my new camera, 30 times optical zoom. Digital. I don't know if it's optical, digital, or what it is, but it's you can zoom in and get right up close and personal with these videos, and it's perfectly focused because it's a really high quality video camera. It's not too expensive. It was like $220. Not terribly expensive. The other one I got used, the old Sony, it was used and I got it pretty cheap on eBay, and it's lasted 2 years, and it turns out it didn't die. It just needs another battery, so I'm going to order some new batteries. I'll have 2 cameras, 2 camcorders. So when I'm ready to work on the other side of the guitar, I can just swivel it and get to work down here. Another thing I wanted to show off is that on this side I've made up this adapter, and it's using this square tubing. It's perforated. You can buy it over at Lowe's, and I was made aware of this by Nate Wood's Instagram page, but Eb Stewart, I think his name, down in Texas, he gave the idea to Nate, and I got it from Nate. I'm going in and I'm scraping this area. I did my work over here, maybe. And I'll show you how easy it is to move this around. So I'm done over on this area, and I need to get to work right here where the spool clamp is. I just spin that, tighten it up, and I'm ready to work on this spot. So that's how incredibly convenient the Proppers workstation with the expansion package and the square tubing with perforated, some threaded rod, some wing nuts, and a few washers, and I can hold the guitar practically any imaginable position that's convenient for my back, neck, shoulders. It's comfortable working in this position. It's all about comfort. When you're comfortable and relaxed, you can do a better job than when you're upset and uncomfortable because the guitar's flopping around on a bench. Now with the guitar still in that position, I can take some 120 grit sandpaper on a little sanding block and just get started with a little sandpaper. Probably do some 120, 220. Most likely I'll do some 320, and I'll be done prepping the guitar. But last week, Mike McConville from String Tech Workstations gave me a call, and he asked me about these things, these vices that we're holding our guitars in, you know. I've been experimenting a little bit with filling the grain with pumice, and I'm liking this filled in grain look compared to the kind of glossy but more porous open grain look that the back has. I kind of like this look for the sides and back. So what I was thinking about doing is letting this dry overnight, because I noticed earlier if I keep wiping it with my shellac pad, I end up pulling that pumice back out of the grain. So I'm going to let this, you know, harden and dry overnight, give it a scuff sand 320 or a maroon Scotch-Brite pad, and then just hit it with a coat of real flat lacquer out in the garage. At about the same time I'm going to be going over this with a satin. So that's where I'm at with this. I did the sides, filled the grain with pumice, sand it tomorrow and give it a little lacquer, and maybe we're getting close. But I'll end up doing the same thing to the back eventually, and then we'll put the bridge on it. Be very careful when peeling off the tape. I've heard of guys spending a lot of time doing finish repairs around a bridge footprint only to rip the tape off at the very end, peeling off all the work that they've done. You know, like a big tear that's not covered by the bridge. I know it's kind of, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. So I'm just being extra careful with this. Take your time. I like to score. I don't want to cut through the wood or anything. I just want to give the tape a little relief. Just like that. See here how I hung it up in the garage. Here is this threaded insert for a 1/4-20 eye screw. Works great.
Now I'm scraping the bottom of the ebony bridge in preparation to glue it back down to the soundboard. I like to use Tight Bond Original Glue for that. I think that having a glue that's a little bit more flexible in that application is nice because the soundboard can belly and shift with humidity. So those two pilot holes were drilled before the finishing part. I glued it in yesterday, and now I'm going to drill all the way through the soundboard with a 3/16 brad point bit. I already inserted a scissor jack inside of the guitar with a piece of MDF backing up the bridge plate. That way when I make it through to the bottom side here, I don't blow out and tear out any wood. I'll also use my tapered reamer to fit the pins and the strings. Here's a little view of my StewMac scissor jack and the MDF caul that was backing up the bridge plate. Now I'll put in some frets. I like to use the standard Martin size. It's 80 thousandths wide and 40 thousandths tall. I trim it to exact length with the StewMac fret cutter. I like to bevel cut it so that it's halfway into the proper shape before I even take a file to it. The proper workstation is nice because you're able to move the support from fret to fret. Right underneath each fret that you're hammering, you can move that support, slide it along the rail. I'm using liquid hide glue in each fret slot. I also over radius the fret slightly. This fretboard is a 16-inch radius. I radius the frets to 12-inch before hammering them in. And I'm using the two hammer method that Doug Proper shared with us. Now that I've gotten used to it, I don't see myself going back to using a single hammer anytime soon. I've made this unbleached bone saddle just this morning, and I think the old nut that came with the kit works just fine. Put some 13 through 56 Ernie ball coated phosphor bronze strings on her.
Wow. Already. Just tuning it up for the first time. I can already tell. Completely sounds different. It really sounds good. I'm so excited. Of course, this needs dialed in. We've got ourselves a guitar on our hands now. All right. It looks like I hit the nail on the head with just a guesstimate as far as that saddle shape goes. I mean, I've got 6/64 bass and 4/64 on the treble side at the 12th fret. And I mean, just yesterday, it was sitting here with no bridge on it and no frets in it. And now less than 24 hours later, it looks like this guitar's just ready for a fret dressing, and it's done, except I haven't done the back, but man, this is good news. Well, I think we've got a guitar on our hands now. I still got to dress the frets, so that's why this is still left here. These are sharp, jagged frets, but it's going to turn out good. Here's an idea of what the saddle looks like so far. It was just roughed in, and the sides, I've got those looking really nice the way I'd like it to look. Just a nice flat finish. The back I haven't done anything with yet. It still looks awful. And the neck is shaped and looking great. Headstock painted black. These things come with Waverly tuners, very nice. And I still got to do the intonation and stuff, but you know how that all goes. It's kind of the same thing all the time. Appreciate you guys sticking with me on this 3-part deal with this build, kind of, you know, correcting all the mistakes that were done. And next week we'll get back to working on the old guitars. This 50s Epiphone here is one that came in that I might show a video of. That Playtime guitar was made in Chicago back in the 30s. That one's going to get taken all apart. That's an older Martin D28 down there. It has binding issues. A lot of the binding is starting to fall off. And then that beautiful Taylor down at the end there, that is a mid-90s Taylor 810. And the finish is starting to separate from the wood, and it's leaving these ugly light-colored bubbles all over the place. So I'll probably call that video the Taylor Bubbles. But anyways, guys, thanks so much again. I appreciate you subscribing and tuning in and liking all these videos, and we'll catch you later.